It is time for the nightcap. We are now 269 days away from the midterms. Are you ready? Because President Donald Trump already appears to be laying the groundwork to contest the results. Earlier this week, he told NBC News that he would accept them, quote, if the election is honest. According to whom? He also called for nationalized voting or federal controls in several Democratic swing states. No surprise there. And he repeated false claims that the 2020 election was stolen. Those claims are being amplified by the Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard. She is now looking for 2020 voter fraud, according to Trump, at the direction of Attorney General Pam Bondi, who said this earlier today. Gabbard, and I are inseparable. We are constantly together, as are the people behind us. We constantly talk. We collaborate as a cabinet. I'm not going to talk about any other details of that matter right now because George is a very important issue to us. Okay, it's an important issue to them. Well, I think it is very important to remind you again that the U.S. defense and national intelligence officials from the Trump and Biden administrations are abundantly clear. Both the 2020 and 2024 elections were both secure and voter fraud in this country is virtually non-existent. All right, let's bring in our nightcap. It's her first time here, let's see if she likes it. Alexandra will see documentary filmmaker David Cura, correspondent for Bloomberg and host of the Big Take podcast Christina Greer with a new haircut, associate professor of political science at Fordham University, and John Fuglisong, best-selling author, comedian and host on SiriusXM Progress. David, like in all seriousness, no sass, what do you expect from this president come the midterms? I think a lot more confusion that's deliberately sowed around this issue of voter fraud, as he put it. I mean, I think we're all still fixated on that photograph of Tulsi Gabbard wearing that ball cap down in Georgia watching all of this unfold, and we have a president who I think very much has his eye toward the midterm elections as he continues to revisit these elections in the past, 2020, 2016. He is fixated on them still. But what he's marshalling here is this broader apparatus and government to sow that amount of discord. He is cutting staff and agencies that customarily would be working to ensure that elections are safe and fair. He is sowing doubt in the minds of Americans that the elections are going to be that way going forward. I think we're going to see a lot more of that in the weeks and months ahead. John, what do you think when you hear our president say he wants to nationalize elections? Well, I think what he's saying is he doesn't care about election integrity. He wants to have a society where the chief executive decides which votes count and which votes don't. And we've already seen this. It was the plot of a movie called January 6, 2021. And this time he doesn't have a pesky Mike Pence around to ruin the scheme for him. I mean, you listen to the sentence. He sent the Director of National Intelligence to go through 6-year-old ballot boxes in Georgia. Nothing weird about that, right? Completely normal presidential behavior. Oh, and she has FBI agents with him and puts Trump on speakerphone like he's giving a Peloton pep talk to these guys before they do an investigation that serves his personal interest. So already, there's never going to be any kind of lawsuit you can go with on that one. So it's all the ingredients David talked about, and they are really counting on 1/3 of the population either falling for this or wanting to believe it. Now, the right is really pushing this SAVE Act, this voter registration bill that a lot of people have issues with. Alexandra, you go out in the wild and talk to Trump voters. What do people feel about this? Okay, this is the funny part. Aren't you tired of being gaslit? It's like he's been, no, I love it. But they don't feel that. They believe it. They still believe it. They believe everything he says. I have not been able to find the wall. You think it's going to hit the wall, hit the wall. And I just got back on another one of those like real America trips where you go, come on guys. I mean, look at the writing on the wall. Look at all the things you could sit and list all of the things that you're going to go through on this whole show. But who are these people? Are these like the hardcore MAGAs, or are these your everyday American who may have voted Republican? I think it's the feed. I think really it is the social media feed. I think that everybody has their own little feed, and they have their own little world, and they live in their own little bubble, and they do not live in the same world that you live in. And they're getting different information than you're getting, and they believe it's not just Fox News. It's wormhole, you know, past Joe Rogan. You go down the wormholes, and you get to people that have names of people I don't even know who they are kind of thing. I just think that we used to say there were two Americas, and now it's become there are these little like cults that exist that have their own little followings. It's not just MSNBC versus Fox News, there are all these little subcultures out there and they're telling you narratives and news stories that they're not even in the hemisphere of truth. Right, and we're past truth. Yes, we're past truth, but when you try to say let's stipulate to a set of facts. Okay, here's a fact: the election wasn't stolen. I'm going to give you so much proof. Let's go through all these lawsuits, and they'll just look you straight in the face and say, well, you got your set of facts and I got mine, and then they'll give you all these made up ones that they come up with. So they have to talk in other places because they have actual space pushing this. You've got Tulsi Gabbard and Pam Bondi looking into election fraud. These are administrative resources being devoted to this. And Tulsi Gabbard's job description has nothing to do with this. I think it's also interesting she's a former Democratic presidential candidate, and that's neither here nor there either. And so no one's doing the job that they're supposed to do. No one's qualified to do the job that they're actually supposed to do either. Fair point. But it's a lot more insidious and dangerous when you think about someone like Tulsi Gabbard being in Georgia looking for these votes. And don't forget, in 2016, the entire campaign, Donald Trump said, was a fraud and that it was going to be stolen, and there was rampant theft going on because he thought, like many Americans, most Americans, thought that Hillary Clinton was going to win. And then the minute we got those election results, no fraud to see here. Nothing to see here. And this is the same week that we find out there's a whistleblower complaint against Tulsi Gabbard that this White House has been covering up, while they're covering up child rape, while they're covering up murders of citizens in Minnesota, while they're covering up Trump's evidence in the Jack Smith hearing. That she is compromised and easily used by Trump to launder the truth. Okay, but stay in Minnesota because the president did an interview with NBC News this week. He's trying to show a lighter touch. He's sending 700 agents that are in Minneapolis, sending them home. There is supposedly going to be an investigation into Alex Pretty's killing. Are you optimistic that any of this is going to happen? Because these are words we haven't seen much in terms of action. I'm optimistic that standing up to bullies in large numbers makes bullies back down, because we're seeing it time and time again. Look at Greenland after Davos, standing up to these cowards and punching the bully back in the face. I'm not a fan of violence. This is all very heavily metaphorical, but yes, it does yield results. It's the good people of Minneapolis who are tired of this indecency and these coward thugs with badges and guns murdering citizens that are the reason we're seeing a shift in policy. That's the reason that Bovino had to take his Luftwaffe costume back to California, because people are standing up against it. So yes, people are. 2,000 are still there. And 2,000 are still there, and there's about 70,000 to 100,000 undocumented people in Minnesota, over 2 million in the state of Texas. But they are not sending ICE to terrorize communities in Texas. This is all racist. Well, they will if Texas keeps slipping to this weekend. Yeah, okay, well, let's stay on racism please, because today an absolutely vile, offensive, disgusting video depicting President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama appeared on Trump's Truth Social site. The White House at first defended it, saying a White House staffer erroneously posted it, and then they faced huge pushback and it was poof deleted. What is your thoughts on all that went down today? Is it surprising? Absolutely not. Is it surprising that you have the White House saying you all are just being histrionic, you're trying to create a tempest in a teapot? It's not that big of a deal. This is before they deleted it. We do know that there's a long-standing history of not just blatant racism but racism towards African Americans, linking them to monkeys. That is a standard trope. We can look at old magazines and newspapers, so it has a historical foundation to it. So posting that is acknowledging, and we are well beyond the dog whistles on the dog barking. This administration is whole hog, so the fact that they initially defended it shouldn't be surprising. This is what Donald Trump has been doing. Before we came on air, really, like this isn't even the most racist thing of the week, but in the fact that it's unprecedented that we have a sitting president from his own social media website that would post something like this. And it's just sort of like, well, that's what Don does. At any other time, this would be a FIERABLE offense for a political leader, for a business executive. But, Steph, here's the thing. If we play that game with Donald Trump, he never would have. A thrice married 5 children by 3 different women. No other. Barack Obama couldn't do that. We couldn't have the excess Hollywood tape Barack Obama could. We can't even play the Barack Obama game with Donald Trump. Every single thing that he has done, never seen his taxes, enriching himself, enriching his family, the sort of rambles that we have. You keep it to just the racism. His first time on and on. And so this is so egregious, it's on top of so many other egregious items. It turns into, well, it's just done. And we have to look at it under the lens of everything as a distraction from Jeffrey Free F fatigue. Amen. But I call it what the F fatigue. And again, this is the day after he announced that they're going to forbid the National Park Service from calling Byron Della Beckwith, the Klan member who killed Medgar Evers, a racist in brochures. That was yesterday. And then the same day they announced they're going to build a statue of Columbus on the White House lawn. So, yes, this isn't even the most racist thing he's done in the last 24 hours. Okay, Alexandra, we saw Senator Tim Scott came out and condemned it. More Republicans followed. But as soon as this thing was posted, we did not hear a response from GOP leadership in the Senate or the House. Yeah, well, they are all in a cult. They're marching in lockstep with Trump. I used to think these were decent people. I was like, John Thune, Steve Scalise. Come on, they're not that bad, but they're showing who they truly are. And so, I'm glad I showed up here tonight because my attitude toward all of this. You're glad you showed up. Are you not going to show up? Well, I'm just saying. I'll make it. I was so glad you actually made it. Because I'm really glad she showed up. Yeah, we are too. Okay. Oh, let's see. Let's make it through the whole show before we say that, but the point is that when these things happen, what do you tell your children? We need these races, so all these kinds of things, like I like to say, ignore him because he's like a child having a tantrum in the middle of the night. He tweets on the True Social. Except he gives license to the rest of the world. I know. If my children did this, they would be expelled from their school. But again, he ran his first campaign.